It's official. The New York Islanders have opened training camp and begun preparations for the 2024-2025 NHL season. And head coach Patrick Roy wasted little time in setting the tone. We've got that and a lot more on today's Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to the Friday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you get new episodes as soon as they drop. Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. We've got a busy show today. The Islanders have opened training camp. But first, if there's something Islanders related on your mind, if you have a question, a comment, maybe a topic you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, send us an email to lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we discuss whatever's on your mind. You could follow the show on X at Locked On Isles. You could follow me, Gil Martin, on X at Ice Wars, NYR, VSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all things Islanders all year long, and it's great to talk a little Islanders hockey with you, game time or anytime. It's official. Training camp underway. The Islanders opened it up on Thursday with the players on the ice, and it was really great to see. And, you know, from an Islanders perspective, 3 groups of players at the Northwell Health Ice Center, and, 18 players in the first 2 groups, and essentially 19 players in the third group, although 1 goalie did participate in 2 different groups. Now, no surprise, no Ilya Sorokin. He was not on the ice. I don't think anybody expected him there. Here is the way the Islanders took to the ice for day 1. Group A had 10 forwards: Matthew Barzal, Anthony Duclair, Hudson Fasching, Bo Horvat, Alex Jeffries, Frederick Karlstrom, Eetu Liukas, Matt Maggio, Matt Martin, and Cam Thiesing. Then 6 defensemen in Group A: Grant Hutton, Artem Kudashov, Travis Mitchell, Adam Pelech, Ryan Polak, Marshall Warren. The goalies in Group A: Marcus Hogberg and Semyon Varlamov. Again, this is all in alphabetical order by position, so don't read anything into the order that I'm reading these off in. Group B, 10 forwards: Casey Cizikas, William Dufour, Mark Gatcomb, Julian Gauthier, Justin Gill, Simon Holmstrom, Brock Nelson, Kyle Palmieri, Jack Randall, and Maxim Siplakov. On the blue line in Group B, Noah Dobson, Aiden Fulp, Isaiah George, Christian Krieger, Wyatt Newpower, and Alexander Romanov. The goalies: Jakub Skarek and Henrik Tikkanen. And then in Group C, 11 forwards: Cole Bardreau, Pierre Engvall, Liam Foudy, Anders Lee, the captain, Kyle McLean, J.G. Pajot, Riley Piercy, Brian Pinho, Tice Thompson, and Oliver Wahlstrom. While on the blue line, Samuel Bolduc, Dennis Chalowski, Scott Mayfield, Kallio Delius, Matthias Rajaniemi, and Mike Riley. 2 goalies: Keith Kincaid, there on the PTO, and Henrik Tikkanen, who, as I said, also participated with Group B, but they're doubling up on the goalies with the absence of Ilya Sorokin. And look, to me, the good news is that the New York Islanders are back on the ice. Patrick Roy, he watched prospects camp from the stands, was watching, was kind of setting things up and telling his coaching staff and the Bridgeport coaching staff, hey, these are the drills I want. This is what I want to see. But at the same time, he wasn't on the ice with the prospects, keeping an eye on everything, taking notes, but not actually physically on the ice running the drills. Well, guess what? Today, Patrick Roy out there on the ice and, kind of doing his thing. And to me, the beauty of it all is that Patrick Roy set the tone from day one. And, here they are out there on the ice, and he had this team skating and working really, really hard. And here's how Roy described it to the press after the first day of practice. They knew they were going to work, and they did, and that's exactly what I was looking for. We want to raise the bar. There's no doubt about it, and there's no better way to do it right now, day one, to set the tone for training camp. We want to use training camp to set the tone for the start of our season. We had a great push at the end of last year, but right now what we look forward to is having a good start and a great year. So that's what we're looking for. And, you just couldn't ask for much more than that. To have this team take to the ice for the first time and have it be, here we are, ready to go. We're going to work hard. And look, too often last year, especially in the first most of the year, I don't think it really ever fully resolved itself. But, this team blew far too many third period leads. And we were speculating, everydayers may remember, are they tired? Are they old? What is the reason that they're, blowing these leads? Are they mentally exhausted? Have some of the better players been on the ice too much? Why do they keep blowing leads? This is a veteran team. This shouldn't be happening. I'll say this. I cannot promise you that Patrick Roy working this group hard from day one to set the tone is going to solve that problem. But I will tell you this. If he keeps working the team the way he's been working the team, there is little doubt in my mind that if they continue to blow games in the third period, blow leads, winning 3-1, lose in overtime 4-3, whatever it is, if they continue to see the leads disappear, the reason that they're blowing leads will not be because this team is not physically prepared. And I'm not saying that was the reason last year. It could have been. We cannot know that. Really, it's only the players and maybe the coaching staff who have an idea if that's one of the reasons for the problem. But Patrick Roy seems quite determined here at the very beginning to set the tone and to make sure, A, the players know what's expected of him, B, if the Islanders lose games late, it's not going to be because this team isn't mentally and physically prepared to play hockey. So good to see the tone being set early. This is something we need and want. And again, Patrick Roy as a player, as a coach, he set high standards for himself. A coach, like a great chef, can only cook with the ingredients he's given. He can only maximize, a coach, the talent of the players he has in the room. That's his job. It's the job of the general manager, Lou Lamoriello, to buy the ingredients and then the chef cooks the meal. You want to see the coach get the most out of this roster over the course of the season. He is setting the tone right away, and that at least is a little bit encouraging. All right, we have got more to get to on today's show. We have some some takeaways and some quotes from day one of Islanders training camp as the players are back on the ice, getting ready for the new season. We'll also talk about a former Islander first-round pick who just announced his official retirement from the NHL. And for our Islanders' birthday of the day, a big forward who finished his NHL career with the Islanders in 1994-95. You may know him better as a Pittsburgh Penguin. He was even very, very briefly a New York Ranger. See if you can guess who that is. We've got all that and more still to come on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I still love more than anything on Game Time, and there are so many great features. I love the view from your seat. You can go on the app and get a panoramic view from your seat before you purchase the ticket, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. So the Isles are back on the ice. I can't tell you how happy it made me to see this team out there on the ice. And it was just really, really great. And, Anthony Duclair on the ice for the first time as an Islander. And Duclair basically said he'd been out practicing a bit with Bo and Barzy. And here's what he said. We came 2 weeks before camp trying to find any type of chemistry. Anytime we get on the ice together, I talk to them, and we're going to keep communicating in camp and just try to get better. As far as training camp goes, Duclair said, it's definitely a tough one. At the same time, you enjoy the grind because it definitely helps you get ready for the start of the season. You always want to get off to a good start. It's a long season. You want to get in shape. Matt Martin, now on a PTO. He said, it's a little different, obviously. I've got a lot of familiarity with the group, so it's good to be back in the locker room and having fun again. It's a little bit different, but nothing out of the ordinary in terms of how I want to prove myself. Obviously, last season didn't end the way anyone wanted to, but especially for myself, being injured and not being able to play. So just showing up healthy was exciting, and to get to the first day out of the way, because you can't match that kind of intensity. My body held up good. I feel good, and I'm excited for tomorrow. So again, just really good to see that. JG Pageau, a veteran, and look, let's face it, this team is loaded with veteran players, especially, there are younger guys here, but the guys who are going to make the NHL team skew to the veteran side heavily. So, you had your basic shooting drills and line rotations, then some one-on-ones and two-on-ones along the boards. JG Pageau, here's what he said. The first days of training camp are always hard, but I think you can see the identity that that's Patrick Roy, wants and we want to have. All the details, we focused on that today. It's not about skating, but it's about all the details, stopping at the net, reloading, having a good work ethic. And, there were a couple of bag skates at the end of the practice. And Pageau said, it pushes you mentally and physically, of course. But mentally, it's about pushing through adversity even when you're tired. Just keep pushing. And I think it's good for you. So really good to see that. Mike Riley, who did so well last year after being acquired. I think he just wants pace and just a mindset of always being on your toes. I feel like when I came in before Patty, you could sit back a little bit more in the defensive zone. I think Patty's a little bit more forward. I think that's where a little bit of that comes from, like skating to the bench and whatnot. I think it's more about being on your toes a bit, trying to kill the play and to get on a guy quick. He doesn't want us to be passive. So whether or not you're going to work fast or not, I think whether or not you're going to work fast or not, I think that's going to benefit you a little bit. That's what he's trying to instill in us for sure. So again, good to see this team out there on the ice and just getting prepared for the new season. And, again, working hard early. Kyle McLean, one of the relatively young players. I mean, he's 25. It's not like he's a 19, 20-year-old prospect, but he isn't quite a fully established NHL full-time guy. Kyle McLean, yeah, it's tough. I think that second lap is all mental. I mean, everybody's tired at that point. You just got to tell yourself you still have something in the tank and just push through it. And again, talking about getting back to the pace and the hard work. Yeah, he's trying to instill that in us right away. He did it right away when he came in last year, and we're just trying to build off that. But we definitely have a pretty clear understanding of how he wants us to play and how we need to play too, just as a group. And I'm going to say this, and I know I tend to be critical of a lot of the things that Lou Lamoriello does or does not do. I do think there are things he could do better for this team. But making the coaching change midway through last year and not waiting until the team was out of the playoffs or until, waiting for the team to turn it around last year indefinitely under Lane Lambert, and then, making that coaching change and then hiring Patrick Waugh before any other team had a chance to grab him and hire him. It worked as a win-win for two reasons. Number one, the Islanders were able to rebound a little bit late in the season and sneak into the playoffs. That's always a plus. And then number two, as you heard, the players talk, it did also give this roster, the players on this roster, and again, most of these guys are the same players from a year ago. It gave them a head start on adjusting to the type of game that Patrick Waugh wants from them, to know the expectations, to know the work ethic that he asks for, the speed he wants the game played at, the little details that he wants to see from his players. And, the fact that Patrick Waugh was a Hall of Fame goalie who also, won the Jack Adams Award as a coach in Colorado a decade ago. He has the respect of the players in the locker room. And by making the move when he did last year, you could argue he could have done it even a little bit sooner. But I think, Lou owed it to Lane Lambert to give him every opportunity to get the team out of the funk they were in. And when it just still wasn't happening past the halfway mark of the season, Lou made the move. I am critical of Lou Lamoriello when I feel he deserves it, but I will also praise him when I feel he deserves it. And when it came to making the coaching change last year, I think that was a really good move with the timing and the way it was done. And so it will help the Islanders this year as they begin preparations for 2024-2025. Really, really looking forward to the start of the season. And oh yeah, did I mention that we are coming up on some preseason Islanders hockey. Sunday, 7 o'clock Eastern time at the New Jersey Devils, preseason hockey, a road game. We're going to talk about that on the Monday show. So games not far away at all. Islanders hockey is back. But We are also going to talk about a former Islander who's not going to be back, at least not as an NHL player. We're going to have that, plus our Islanders birthday of the day, all that coming up still on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at FanDuel. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have something a little different for you. Now through Sunday, September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Folks, got to take advantage of this offer. Time is running out. While you're at it, check out all the latest odds on FanDuel. Islanders preseason opener Sunday. Check out the odds on that one. Just visit FanDuel.com. Download America's #1 sportsbook. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Thank you for making Locked On Islanders your first listen today. Now for your second listen, go find Locked On NHL, with the local experts keep you updated on all the biggest storylines ahead of the season. Find Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So on Thursday, it became official. It's something we all suspected would be the case, but now it is official. Kyle Okposo, former first-round pick of the Islanders back in 2006, 7th pick overall, officially announced he was retiring from the NHL. And boy, did Okposo go out on top, winning a Stanley Cup with the Florida Panthers after being traded there at the deadline by the Buffalo Sabres. He was a 19-year-old when he joined the Islanders in 2007, 2008, scored his first NHL goal against future Hall of Famer Martin Brodeur, and it was a power play goal that ended up breaking a 1-1 tie. In the end, you really saw a lot of great things from Kyle Okposo. 9 seasons as an Islander, scored 139 goals and 369 points in 529 games with the Isles. Spent 8 seasons in Buffalo, or really 7 2/3. Finished up the season last year with Florida and won his first and only Stanley Cup with them. And some nice words from Kyle Okposo. And here's what he said, among other things. A huge thank you to the New York Islanders, Buffalo Sabres, and Florida Panthers. I always tried to reciprocate the trust that you put in me. The definition of family has changed in my eyes over time. It began with the people who brought me into this world and were with me in the beginning. They molded my values and provided guidance on how to find my true north. Mom, Dad, Kendra, I appreciate everything that you did for me. 30 years of playing hockey was incredible. It brought me to some amazing places and provided such unique experiences. I believe the game is in a great place now, but the possibilities are vast. I'm looking forward to continuing to contribute to the game as it reaches new heights. So Kyle Okposo now ending his NHL career and kind of moving on now to a new stage in his life. And, he really was a really solid New York Islander, class act from day one when he joined this team. And it was great, hearing him discuss, the trainers, the coaches, the teammates, the fans, all the different things that, he was mentioning at his retirement. And I did tweet it out on my Twitter account. I retweeted the statement that Kyle Okposo released on Thursday. So you could check that out at Ice Wars NYR vs. NYI. Congratulations to Kyle Okposo and best wishes going forward. It was a pleasure covering you, and kind of amazing that he was just a kid coming up at the beginning of his career. It feels like yesterday. And to the late Ken Dick, who was one of his big fans, probably smiling seeing Kyle go out on top. All right, time now for our Islanders birthday of the day. And Saturday will be the 61st birthday of former Islanders winger Troy Loney. Loney, big guy, 6'3", 215 pounds, third-round pick of the Pittsburgh Penguins in 1982, a native of Bow Island, Alberta. Made his NHL debut in 83-84 with the Penguins. And, Troy Loney, more of a checking forward, never scored more than 15 goals in an NHL season, but he was very effective at using his size. Won a couple of Stanley Cups with the Penguins in 1991 and 92. Was a part of that 1993 Penguins team that the Islanders upset to end their attempt to win 3 straight cups. Played for the Anaheim Mighty Ducks in 93-94, played 4 games for the Rangers in 94-95, and then closed out his career with the New York Islanders. Played 26 games with the Isles, 5 goals, 9 points, 23 penalty minutes, finished with 87 career NHL goals, 197 points in 624 games, add 1,091 penalty minutes, 8 goals, 22 points in 67 playoff games. One of his better games as an Islander, house February 11th, 1995. Now, remember, that was a lockout-shortened year. But in this game, Islanders hosting the Buffalo Sabres. Dominic Hasek in goal for Buffalo. Jamie McLennan, the netminder for the Islanders. After Alexander Mogilny scored a power play goal in the first period to make it 1-0 Buffalo. In the second, Ray Ferraro ties it for the Islanders, and then with a little more than 5 minutes left in the middle stanza, our Islanders' birthday of the day, Troy Loney scores his first goal as an Islander. Travis Green and Scott LaChance get the assist. That holds up as the game winner as Jamie McLennan made 26 saves. So, for our Islanders' birthday of the day, Troy Loney, he had a goal. He was a +1. And it was the game winner, and he scored on his only shot on goal in the game. Troy Loney is our Islanders' birthday of the day, and we wish him all the best as he turns 61 on Saturday. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen of the day. Everydayers, we're back on Monday. And yeah, we'll have a preseason game to dissect as the Islanders travel to the Rock to take on the Devils in preseason game 1. I cannot wait just to talk about that and how it all breaks down. So make sure you join us for that. Until then, have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe. And of course, let's go Islanders.